a piece of sheep's wool became more accurate than modern weather satellites, predicting atmospheric conditions with 100% precision not once, but twice. This happened 3,200 years ago, and meteorologists still call it scientifically impossible. What you're about to hear challenges everything we know about weather prediction. Quick question before we dive in. Have you ever desperately needed a sign that you were making the right decision? Drop sign in the comments if you faced a choice so big that you wish the universe would give you clear proof. Because what happened to warrior Gideon will change how you see divine guidance forever. Picture this. A young farmer turned reluctant military leader, facing an army of 135,000 enemy soldiers with impossible odds. He needed absolute certainty that God was with him before risking thousands of lives. So he made the strangest weather prediction test in recorded history. But here's what will blow your mind. If you put a piece of wool outside overnight and defied every law of condensation and humidity, would you trust your life to that sign, or would you think it was just coincidence? Keep watching, because what happened next proved that some meteorological miracles happen exactly when faith needs them most. The Valley of Jezreel, around 1200 BC. The land of Israel was terrorized by the Midianite Confederation, a massive alliance of nomadic tribes who swept down like locusts every harvest season, destroying crops, stealing livestock, and forcing the Israelites to hide in caves. A young man named Gideon was secretly threshing wheat in a wine press, hiding from the raiders, when something extraordinary happened. A messenger appeared with words that changed his life. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Go save Israel from the Midianites." Gideon stared in disbelief. "Me? I'm from the weakest clan in our tribe, and I'm the least important person in my family. How can I save anyone?" But the calling was clear. He was chosen to lead Israel's liberation. The impossible odds. When Gideon finally accepted the mission and sent out a call to arms, 32,000 men responded. It sounded impressive until they saw what they were facing. The Midianite coalition had assembled the largest army in the region's history, 135,000 warriors. Seasoned fighters with superior weapons, cavalry, and camels that could move faster than any infantry. The mathematical reality was staggering. Gideon's force was outnumbered more than 4-1. In ancient warfare, those odds meant certain annihilation. But then God gave Gideon instructions that defied all military logic. Your army is too large. Send most of them home. Through a series of tests, the army was reduced from 32,000 to just 300 men. Now the odds were 450 to 1 against them. Pause. Have you ever felt like the challenges you're facing are mathematically impossible to overcome? Comment below about a time when you felt completely outnumbered by your circumstances. The night before the battle, Gideon sat in his tent, paralyzed by the magnitude of what lay ahead. Leading 300 men against 135,000 wasn't courage. It was suicide, unless God was truly with them. "Lord," he prayed, "I need to be absolutely certain. Give me a sign that you will really save Israel through me." Then he devised the most unusual weather test in history. Gideon took a wool fleece, a thick sheep's hide with the wool still attached, and placed it on the ground outside his tent. "God, I'm going to leave this fleece outside all night. If you're truly going to save Israel through me, let the fleece be soaked with dew in the morning, but let all the ground around it be completely dry." It was a strange request. Normally, dew forms evenly across all surfaces due to atmospheric conditions. For one object to be saturated while everything around it remained dry would violate basic meteorology. But Gideon needed supernatural confirmation before risking hundreds of lives. At dawn, Gideon approached the fleece with nervous anticipation. What he found defied explanation. The fleece was absolutely drenched, so saturated with water that when he squeezed it, he filled an entire bowl with the liquid that poured out. But the ground in every direction was bone dry. Not a trace of moisture anywhere else. The dew had somehow selectively targeted only the fleece, ignoring every natural law of condensation and humidity distribution. Meteorologically, this should be impossible. Dew formation depends on temperature, humidity, and surface characteristics. When atmospheric conditions are right for dew, it forms on all suitable surfaces simultaneously. For moisture to condense heavily on one object while completely avoiding identical surfaces just inches away violates our understanding of how water vapor behaves in the atmosphere. Yet Gideon held the proof in his hands, a bowl full of water from a fleece that had been surrounded by dry ground paws. If you witness whether that selectively targeted one specific object, would you call a miracle or look for a scientific explanation? What would it take to convince you that natural laws have been suspended? Share your thoughts below. You might think one miracle would be enough, but fear has a way of breeding doubt. As the day progressed and the reality of facing 135,000 enemies set in, Gideon began to question what he had seen. Maybe it was just an unusual atmospheric condition, he thought. Maybe fleece naturally collects moisture better than ground. Maybe I was seeing what I wanted to see. That evening, consumed by uncertainty, he made another request. God, please don't be angry with me, but I need to test this once more. Tonight, let the fleece remain completely dry, but let the ground all around it be covered with dew. This was an even more impossible request. If the first test violated meteorology, this one defied it completely. Now he was asking for selective dryness, for atmospheric moisture to avoid the fleece while saturating everything else around it. It was scientifically backwards. Fleece, with its fibrous structure, should collect moisture more readily than smooth ground, not repel it. The next morning brought another meteorological impossibility. The fleece was perfectly dry, not a trace of moisture in its fibers, but the ground in every direction was soaked with heavy dew, as if a light rain had fallen everywhere except on the fleece itself. Gideon had witnessed 2 consecutive violations of natural law, each one the exact opposite of the other. The same atmospheric conditions had produced contradictory results based solely on his specific requests. Modern meteorologists studying this account struggle to explain how atmospheric moisture could behave so selectively. Weather doesn't respond to human requests. Dew doesn't choose where to form base on someone's prayers. Yet the specificity of both miracles, opposite conditions occurring exactly as requested, suggests precise control over natural phenomena that our science can't replicate. Armed with undeniable proof of divine support, Gideon led his 300 men into battle against a massive Midianite army. Using a strategy that involved trumpets, torches, and psychological warfare, they achieved a victory that military historians still study as impossible. The fleece tests weren't just about weather. They were about faith confirmation before facing insurmountable odds. Word of the fleece miracles spread throughout the region. Did you hear? Gideon's God controls the weather itself. He can make dew fall on one spot and avoid another. Other nations began to fear not just Israel's army, but their God who could manipulate atmospheric conditions at will. The fleece became legendary, a symbol of seeking divine confirmation before major decisions. We live in an age of sophisticated weather prediction, with satellites, radar, and computer models that can forecast conditions days in advance. Yet our most advanced meteorological science still can't selectively control where moisture condenses. This story reminds us that sometimes we need more than human wisdom to make life-changing decisions. When facing impossible odds, divine confirmation can provide the certainty we need to move forward. You may be facing your own 135,000 to 300 situations right now, circumstances where logic says you can't win. Health battles, financial crises, relationship conflicts, career decisions that feel overwhelming. Gideon's fleece tests teach us that it's okay to ask for clear confirmation before taking huge risks. Sometimes the biggest decisions require supernatural assurance. The fleece that predicted the future twice teaches us that divine guidance operates beyond natural limitations. When God wants to provide confirmation, even the weather becomes a messenger. What seems meteorologically impossible becomes spiritually essential. Final challenge. What fleece test do you need to make for a major decision in your life? Share this video with someone facing impossible odds who needs to remember that divine confirmation still comes to those who ask for it with sincere hearts. That's the day sheeps will become more accurate than weather satellites, and atmospheric science bowed to answer prayer. The fleece that defied meteorology twice still speaks to anyone needing certainty in uncertain times. If this story gave you hope for receiving clear guidance in your own impossible decisions, drop Fleece in the comments and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove divine confirmation comes to those who genuinely seek it.